So let's start with some questions for you. So for our audience, why don't you tell us your name, a little bit about your background, your nationality. Just give us a little background to start with.
Yeah, so my name is Dr. Juan Salinas. I'm originally from Honduras, and I came to the United States, to New Jersey, actually, when I was 17. I went to college at Rutgers University, and that's why I came here. So I finished my high school in Honduras. I started at Rutgers University, studying English as a second language. So I spent about 6 months doing that before I got, and passed my TOEFL exam and went into college and started my career as a food scientist.
That's wild.
and that's why I'm here making food products.
So you came out of college with a degree in the food science industry, and then what happened from that point to where you are today? Did you work somewhere in between? Did you automatically decide to do this? What were kind of the middle steps?
Yeah, so after I graduated with a bachelor's, I decided I wanted to continue on and learn a little more and get a little more, more. I wanted to have to be more proficient in the food science area, and I felt like I needed more information. So I went and got my master's degree, and then I felt I needed more, so I got my PhD. After my PhD, I started working for Nabisco. And it was funny because that job, my first job, I got it because when I was in grad school, I was doing some research on potato flavor. And Nabisco at the time was trying to develop something very unique for them because they were like the Oreos and Ritz and crackers, right? That's it, right. Cookies. But they wanted to go into the chip area, and they wanted to develop a chip, and they wanted to develop a potato chip. So they were looking for people that had experience in potato. And I had just done my PhD and master's in potato flavor. So it was just like a perfect match right there. They were just like, please come in. So that's how I started my career, working for Nabisco, working with, on the development of a potato chip. And then
what did it turn into?
Yeah, so we did it. I don't know if you remember a product called Air Crisps.
I do. I totally do.
That was the product. That was the project that I was on, and we came up with that. It was sort of like a chip, but not really because it was baked. But it was a potato chip.
Right. It would have been a healthier kind of a version, sort of the potato chip. So
right. It came in a box.
Perfect, though. Like right up your alley.
It was. So it was pretty cool. So I spent about maybe another 5 years there or 6. Then I worked for Cadbury,
everybody knows Cadbury.
chocolate egg company, but we weren't doing that. We're actually making gum, which a lot of people don't know that.
No.
The Cadbury egg company is actually Hershey, and the Trident, Dentine, and the gum company is actually Cadbury.
That is really interesting. I did not know that at all.
Yeah, very, very unique situation. So I worked in the gum area for a while, and then I started working for Kraft, and I started doing some of their cheese and some other snacks with them. And then before I ended up starting my own company, 5 years before that, I started working for Nestle. And there was a really cool job I had because I was working as a sports nutritionist, and I was making products for athletes,
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was international. It's an international company. So I was working with the Australian team, and I was working with the Canadian team to develop products for athletes at the Olympic level. So we were testing all of our products with Olympians, which is like amazing. So that's how I got.
What a great target audience, right? That's pretty cool.
It was awesome. So I was that's how I really got into this whole thing with my product. The understanding of what the athletes needs wear versus the food science and product development and making something taste good. And how do you bring those two together? The nutrition with the flavor into one product. And that's how I came up with it.
That's amazing. It's a challenge. I think I was speaking to a woman who has a company that also, she's like, why do people either have to think that it's healthy or it's delicious? Like, why does it have to be this or that? Why can't it be everything together? And she has a product that is very much, on par with your concept, just the concept of what we're talking about. It can taste really good and it can be good for you. I mean, that's what we all strive for. So.
But it's challenging, and it all comes down to chemistry, because what happens is that things that are very high in salt or sugar or fat tend to be very attractive, very tasty.
Yeah, you just keep eating. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Exactly. And those three things are bad for your health, So you're trying to substitute these major components in food for something that is healthy, and that's a big challenge. That's a very big challenge, and that's why it's that premise of if it's healthy, it's probably not going to taste that good.
Right.
Or if it tastes really good, then it's probably not healthy. That's kind of like the reason why.
So I know if I need an answer for something like that, I should come to you, because you'll tell me how to get that done. So this kind of got you going. Now you're talking about this Nestle and working with these athletes. So from there, obviously you're getting this idea of wanting to do something like this, or what were you thinking in terms of starting your own company? How did that come about?
Yeah, the whole, starting my company, I guess maybe in the last 3 years that I was working at Nestle, I was really involved. I was really getting into I trying to think of new products that will be beneficial to athletes and new formats. No, at the time it was just the bars. Everything was a bar. It was very boring. There were so many bars now in the market. So I was trying to come up with some new formats that could substitute a bar, but with a crunch, or with some other kind of textures. So I started to, kind of, my brain was just like working and coming up with all these awesome ideas. And some of them, I brought them up to the teams, and working in a very large company takes a very long time to get things done. There's a lot of bureaucracy that you have to go through, which is why a lot of these smaller companies tend to be more innovative, because you don't have all those constraints that you have to go through. And so you go right to it and you're in market very quick. With large companies, you have to kind of go through all the processes and all the things. And sometimes it could take 2-3 years before you launch something. By then, somebody else have already come up with.
Right.
So, for me, was more about my passion for what I was trying to do, which is trying to create products that were nutritious, especially for people that were active. And so I felt that, that it was just my time to do it. I was very passionate about it. And I said, I saved some money since I started working. I saved a lot. So I was like, I have enough to kind of give me a chance to get started.
Kind of bootstrap it on your own at first a little bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I think that's how most of us start. You gotta have a little bit of financial stability before you start a business, because it's very hard that it's very unusual or hard that an investor is gonna put money in you without you having proven yourself yet. Right. Or have a product that is already proving itself and that has gone beyond the concept level. Unless you're a well-known entrepreneur and you have years.
Right. You already have a lot of following and people who know you, and
then probably a lot easier to get funded with an idea. But otherwise, you have to do it on your own. And to do that, it takes, especially for a food company, and it takes a lot of money, a lot of work, a lot of time.
Yeah.
So
you were saying, and this is probably a good thing, like back to that point, that you were already working on this at the same time you were working at Nestle, just because it's better probably to transition slowly, right? Like instead of like, I'm just going to stop and then I'm going to start this. I think you kind of have to transition your way out of something, right?
I think it helps. I think it helps. I always tell people, like, get as much education and experience on the field that you love, before you start your own, your own company or your own ideas. Because what it does is that it helps you with tackling issues that you were probably going to face. By having a good education, you sort of know how to tackle, how to develop a formula. By having experience in companies, you already know some of the issues that you will probably face, by doing what you will be doing. So
anything, right? From logistics to marketing to whatever.